Hello there, boys and girls, and all of those in between. My name is Maliena Bitchcock, and I want to welcome you to Bitch Talk with Bitchcock. It's my very own talk show where we interview some of the best entertainers all throughout the world. I'm so excited that this very special episode, we have one of my best sisters and one of my best friends in the whole world. She's all from Vancouver, Washington. Stefhannie, a Mercury Experience DuPont. Yes.
Hi everyone.
Hey, bitch. How you doing? Are you surviving quarantine over there?
Like Miss Seeley said at the end of The Color Purple. I'm here, bitch.
Yes. Well, I will say you're not just here, but you're here and looking fucking beautiful in that hair and with your titties out. I love a girl with her big titties. Yeah.
Girl, I just woke up like 10 minutes ago, slapped on a party cap, and came to town. Here we go.
You know what? Nothing wrong with a little chapstick and mascara.
And don't forget the tinted moisturizer. Thank you, Kimberly Michelle.
Oh, see, some of us have to wear moisturizers and some of us are naturally smooth. Sorry, Kimberly.
The musical.
Well, bitch, I am so excited. We have so much to talk about. And you, as I can say, you are one of my favorite people in the whole world. I mean, there's no one that I feel more comfortable about being me and just kikiing with someone than you, bitch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Look, I love you too. I've known you for almost too long, but I love you.
Too long borders on love. I know. But girl, let's dive into this interview and really get ready to spill all the tea.
Let's do it, bitch. I'm ready. Are you?
Yes. So tell us when you first started performing in drag.
Oh. The first time I ever performed in drag, I was 14 years old. Yeah, 14. And it could either be two ways. You can consider me going in drag to one of my, I went in drag to school when I was in 8th grade. And I also performed at Smirk for the very first time. So whichever one you want to consider my first time in drag, then performing, then that's what we'll do. Because when I did it and went to school, I went as Ursula's sister Morgana. So.
Ooh. Get it, girl. I love that. Now, do you know how many years you said, do you know roughly how many years you've been performing?
Since I was 14, so that's 13 years.
13 years, bitch. That's fucking amazing. Why don't you tell me a little bit what first attracted you to drag and made you want to do it?
The first time when I was in 8th grade and I went to school in drag, it was because it was part of my classwork. Like, we were doing a book report and we had to come dressed as our favorite character in that book. And so I did. And it was great. And everyone was taken aback by it because they're like, oh, you're wearing a dress to school, calling me by my dead name. And then it just wasn't an issue anymore, so to speak. Like, it was just natural. And then the first time when so that was like my first time in drag. And then the first time I actually performed on stage when I was at Smirk, I ran into an old friend who then in turn became my first drag mother. And he was like, you're going on stage. Like, you already lip sync anyways, so why don't you just lip sync and dance at the same time and make some money while you're doing it? And here we are 13 years later.
I love that. And, I love that you had a proper drag family that helped uplift you a little bit. Now, Stefhannie, I have a really weird question for you.
Of course you do. You're Maliena.
And, of course, I'm going to make sure to ask this with my titties sticking out. Stefhannie, who is Juicy?
Oh my God. Juicy. First of all,
Research.
first of all, Juicy is dead. Um, but no, so Juicy was the first ever character or drag persona, aka drag name that I ever had in this lifetime. And she, whew, she was a cold piece. She was a different piece. She was a cold piece, and she was not who I am today. And but I'm grateful that she was my beginning.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit, actually, girl, about how did you actually change from Juicy, who, as I understand it, was very loud and very scandalous.
Girl, let me tell you, honey, when we talk about Juicy was queen of the Scandonesians, aka queen of all the scandalous bitches, that was Juicy.
Oh my!
Yes, darling. Uh yeah, she was very loud, over the top. She didn't give a flying fuck who you were, where you came from, who your mama was, who your daddy was, whatever you were doing, how much money you made, she didn't matter. When you was looking at her, that's all that mattered in the world, and you was gonna know it if you didn't know it.
How
I've tamed myself down a little bit now, but I'm
how
not as
has that?
strong as I used to be.
No, and I love that. And actually, that's kind of where I want to lead. Is how has that personality shifted from Juicy to the beautiful Stephanie Mercury experience Dupont?
You can call me Stephanie. Um, so it really, the big change was Juicy was my drag character, and I at the time, like so many other of our sisters that are queens have a day-to-day, their everyday life persona, usually, or some, not usually, excuse me, but sometimes as a male identified person, as a cis male, which is what I identified at the time. And so I was, male by day, queen by night. And then my evolution started, my metamorphosis, my journey started. And I realized through the art of drag, actually, it's how I discovered my journey of that, you know what, I'm a woman. This is who I am. This is how I'm supposed to be. And so when I decided that I was going to transition and live every day as a woman, like I am in my own right and my own just, I decided to change my name to Stephanie. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to like keep track of more than one name. And joke was on me, clearly. And I just decided to go by Stephanie in my everyday life and on as well as on stage.
I love that. And something you may not know, Stephanie, is I consider you one of my closest drag sisters, correct?
Absolutely, darling.
So my real life sister's name is actually Stephanie.
Yes, I know. But I do have to tell you, she spells it the wrong way, darling.
Well, girl, let's see here. So we got to know a little bit about Juicy and how you evolved into Stephanie. Who is Stephanie now? Who is the character that is Stephanie?
Ooh, the character that is Stephanie. Thank you for that question. So the character that is Stephanie is who you see on stage, or when I'm in full beat and I'm out at the club, or I'm at the bar, or I'm at a show, at whatever venue it is. That character Stephanie is, she's the cookie lion. She's the Bernadine from Waiting to Exhale. She's Chloe from Set It Off. She's that boss, executive, bad bitch, black woman that you can't tell her what she can or cannot do, or she will and will not do, or how she will and don't do something. Like you just can't. You just have to accept. She knows what she wants. She knows how to get it. And if she doesn't get what she wants, well, she'll find another way to cope. But the character Stephanie, you'll never see that bitch sweat. You'll never see her cry. Um, and I say that as a character because as myself, Stephanie, when I am not on stage, you could catch a tear or two. It's been known to happen.
Well, something interesting I found that, of course, I always love to take a very special moment in my show, of course, to be shady. And
Ooh, the shade
with
of it
that,
all.
with that said, as you said, you don't sweat when you're in character. Now, girl, I've seen you perform. I think you sweat just a
No, no,
little.
no, no. I sweat a lot. I don't cry when I'm in character.
I love that. And that's because our characters are our strength. And that's where, we really hold a lot of our armor and our confidence.
Oh, absolutely. Everything that I wish I could be in my everyday life, I am on stage.
Now,
And
mhm,
it's it's freeing, yet it's confusing at the same time because it's like I can do that on stage for 4.5, 5 minutes. Why can't I do it for the remaining, 23 hours and 55 minutes of the day?
well, and that is kind of an interesting point that you bring up because, like, when we were getting ready, we were actually video chatting and painting together. And you were telling me that, sometimes you struggle with feeling beautiful, but the Stephanie I know has never struggled knowing her beauty. And of course, you're a fucking beautiful creature, so you fucking should not doubt your beauty in the fucking first place.
Well, it's I think that's just a great testament to show that beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder, and also like we are our own worst enemies. And believe it or not, Stephanie, no matter which version you look at, is still human.
I love that. I love that so much, beautiful. Now, speaking of being human, why don't you tell us a little bit of the difference between the drag character that is Stephanie and Mercury Experience DuPont and just Stephanie in real life?
So, Stephanie in real life, let's see, for example, so Stephanie Calhoun, which is who I am every day, that is my legal name, you can find her at home. You can find her playing her video games, ordering something off of Postmates or Uber Eats, hanging out with her roommates. And if we decide to go out, we're going to go to a skate bar. Not just because there's anything wrong with it, but one, because it's close to home, and two, we kind of have our own little family there. Now, Stephanie, when she is in full beat, full mug, and crown and gown, and all the things and all the stuff, you can find her at any gay bar or strip club in the Portland metro area, or anywhere for that matter, anywhere on the I-5 corridor or even 84. Why you kidding? All right. But like when I'm in drag, I have no fear in the sense that like you want to go get it, so I'm going to. It's I have no fear. I have no barriers. I feel on top of the world. I feel like Wonder Woman. I feel like Superwoman. I feel like Captain Marvel. I feel like Storm from X-Men. I feel like Jean Grey, Phoenix. I feel just powerful. Yet when I'm at home, I'm just like, oh no, look, I'm just timid of me. Don't look at me. But that's just how I am. I don't. I feel like I get everything out through my character, Stephanie. That when I'm just me, myself, I can be the parts of me that I really hold close and dear to myself. If that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. And Stephanie, I know it's not easy to find that balance and to know who you are as a person and who you are as a character. And, people like me, sometimes you get lost in your character, where sometimes your character gets more praise than you do in real life. So
Oh,
you
absolutely.
so you get lost in that character, where I love that you actually have a balance and that you kind of know this is the time I'm going to spend with Stephanie and this is who Stephanie is. And then this is the time I'm going to spend with, okay, Stephanie. And
Right.
then this is what I'm going to do
Well,
there.
yeah, it is like that, but also it's kind of my downfall as well because I feel like because I play the part really well of me on stage. And, and it's a it's a complete fake until you make it situation. But because I play my character so well, when I'm not all of that and all that's taken out of the equation, people still expect me to be that character, to be that strong, overbearing, independent Black woman. And it's like, yes, that is me, but not as magnified as it is when I'm on stage. Um, and so it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, and I think it also has to play into the fact that with my trans identity, with still shaping and becoming who I am as a woman compared to who I was when I identified as a man. Um, and so it's it's yes, they're separate, and yes, I can separate them, but sometimes it's really hard for the general public to differentiate between the two, you know. And while this is something that's I feel, it's something I feel, and it's something that I notice happens to me. I also notice myself doing it to other queens, when it's hard to separate the two, because I
It's
typically
funny.
find, go ahead,
No,
sorry.
no, you go ahead, baby. I didn't mean it to overtalk you.
It's like I find myself, like with you, I call you Maliena in and out of face, and it's, I don't think about it, and then sometimes I do, and I'm like, oh, wait, no, and then I'll use, someone's random, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like coming from you, don't use that name. So then I won't, but like for me, it's because I use the same name for both, like real life and the stage. I think it's hard for other people to differentiate between the two rather than it's for myself.
And I totally kind of agree with that. So even like you were saying, even I struggle. Is that I'm going to use you as a clear example because you mentioned some people have a hard time with differentiating the confidence you have as Stephanie, your character, and Stephanie in real life. Sometimes with me, because I've known you so long as a character, I always expect you to have that confidence. And
Exactly.
and when I don't, there's been a few times where like, and I think one time you just literally had a real moment with me, be like, girl, I love you, but I'm a human just like you and anyone else, and I'm gonna have my moments of insecurity. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you, baby. I didn't, I know I have those moments, but sometimes you forget
I
about
remember that conversation. I remember
them.
that one. Yeah.
Well, and honey, we all, like I said, we have to find our balance and how to kind of balance real life, our characters, and what we're going to do with it. Now, with that said, I know you didn't always have that balance, and it was kind of hard for you, even in everyday life. In fact, if you don't mind, I'd like to dive into something a little deep and talk about actually going from being homeless, if you don't mind, and overcoming that completely and finding yourself as a trans person and becoming this mega superstar that you are now.
Mega superstar. Wow. Um, okay, we can do this. Let's do this. So, um, I became homeless when I was a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of starts just a little bit before I was even homeless as a teenager. Uh, we'll just put it out there and put it out very frankly and out on Front Street. I was not the easiest human to love while I was growing up.
Okay.
Um, I still kind of am not the easiest person to love, and I'm working on it more consciously than I was back then. But back then, it was a whole ordeal and a whole story. Um, and stemming from my early life, I was in and out of foster homes. And when I say early life, I mean from age 9. So from
Okay.
birth to 9, I was with my family. And then I was in and out of foster homes for a few years. And then I got out of foster care and moved in with my father. And then after a couple of hardships and mishaps with that situation, I then found myself homeless. Um, and so there I was, 16, on the streets of downtown Portland, doing everything and anything that I needed to do to survive.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And and when I mean by survive was figuring out how I was gonna get clothes, how I was going to eat if one of the homeless youth services wasn't open, to serve meals at that time. How was I gonna eat? Because I couldn't necessarily get food stamps yet because I was still a minor. So literally, having to figure out what worked and what didn't work. Figuring out if I was gonna be able to sleep at the youth shelter that was downtown. Am I gonna have to sleep in the park? Am I able to stay at a friend's house, take a warm shower, have a hot meal? And so all of that happened, and trial and error. Trial and error happened, but I was still able, while I was homeless, every weekend I was at the Escape nightclub in downtown Portland. 333 Southwest Park. I will never forget that address for as long as I live. That address became my address, and it really became a second home for me, like it did for so many before me and so many after me. But every Friday and Saturday, I was at that club without fail, and I I wanted to make it known, or I didn't want to make it known that I was homeless because I didn't want people to see me as homeless. I wanted them to see me as their friend. I wanted them to see me as a drag queen, as a performer,
Right.
you know? And so that's what I did. And some people knew that I was homeless at the time. Some people, even to this day, well, up until this interview, didn't know that I was homeless during that time, and that's fine.
Sorry. Sorry about it, baby. Like, I felt like it was actually really important to talk about, and the reason
Oh,
is
no, no, please. First, let me just say this now. Everything is on the table for this interview. This is a no holds bar. So if you ask the question, I will answer it honestly and truthfully. And
I
if I
appreciate.
don't, well, I'll still give you an answer. It just may not be the whole truth.
Well, I appreciate that, and the reason I felt like talking about this was important is there's a lot of queer youth or even trans youth that don't find it comfortable to be home and who end up being hopeless or couch surfing or just don't spend the majority of time at their home residence. And
Absolutely.
I think back then it was more of a struggle because there are parents who are going to, when you come out, you're scared that the parents aren't going to accept you or they're going to kick you out,
Yeah,
and that happens to so many of our youth. And to see that you really found your safe space while you were in that position and then not just overcome it by finding a balance, finding a safe space in life, but you are at this point in your life where, I mean, bitch, you have done so much, you have so many titles under your belt, you are this beautiful, beautiful mega superstar, and I mean that. I know you laugh when I say that, but in my eyes you are a mega superstar, and
absolutely.
you come to terms with this beautiful woman that you are.
It's been a long road. It's been, and it's it's definitely hasn't been a smooth one. I mean, but then to say whose road has necessarily.
Right.
Um, but I I did find that safe space. I found that space for survival. I found that knack for survival, and I knew that if I couldn't see far into my future, I could see into the next moment. And so I there were times where I just had to take it moment by moment and hope and pray that I could sit on that sidewalk and catch 10 minutes of sleep before the police came and rushed me off. I mean, that's just how it was. um and so it's, yeah. It's been a
Well,
journey.
I don't want to take you too much down an emotional road right now, and I know that it's a hard
So
thing to talk about. But again, I want to focus more on what you've overcome and where you are now, and I think that's so
absolutely.
beautiful looking at. Now, Stephanie, you mentioned a little bit earlier in the interview that you feel like that drag actually helped you find the power to find your trans identity. Do you mind talking about that just a little more?
Oh, absolutely. This is one of my favorite stories of myself to tell. um, so it's as simple yet as complicated as I loved the attention that I was receiving when I was in drag. And I made the comment to my then drag mother, may she rest in peace, uh, I want to be in drag 24/7 because of the attention that I was getting, not just from, potential partners, but from everybody that I was coming into contact with. Oops, sorry, adjusted. But everyone that I was coming into contact with, whether it be a random person on the street or somebody that's had known me for a couple months or even 5 years, and specifically there was the first time that my older sister Crystal ever came to a drag show of mine. She cried the first moment she saw me on stage because
Oh,
it clicked. She finally understood me more than she had ever understood me before. And at the time, because she told me after the show, and at the time I thought, I was like, oh, I'm just meant to be a drag queen. And it wasn't until later that I realized, well, yes, I can do drag, but I'm a woman, baby. And the day I had that realization was a beautiful day. And that was the first time that I ever went and bought a wig that was more than $25 that day. And I was so happy. AKA, that was the day that I bought my first lace front. Changed my whole world. Changed my whole world because at that time, because with me having an intersecting identity when it comes to, my sexual identities, but also, my racial identities, growing up in the Black communities, lace fronts and weaves and wigs, that was only for women,
right.
and so, and because I was a drag queen, and at the time I identified as male, so I was a female impersonator. I was like, oh well, I don't, deserve a lace front because I'm not trying to look exactly like a woman. I just had to give the illusion. So a hard front wig is what I would wear, or a ponytail. But as soon as I decided that I was meant to be a woman and got my lace front, changed my whole game, changed my attitude, changed my aesthetic, changed my how people perceived me. It made me more quote unquote passing, so to speak. I mean, it was a very, very momentous day.
Stephanie, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask a little bit of a personal question, but I know you won't mind. How long have you actually been transitioning?
Since I was, whew, all right. First time publicly saying this out loud. I have been transitioning and since I was 15 years old. And when I say transitioning since I was 15 years old, that was when I admitted to myself and I was able to put a label on it, or I was able to put a name on it, because growing up, you don't have all the answers. And at 15, it was around between, 15, 16, around there, that I understood what a trans person was. And that was also when I learned the difference between, you know, thankfully, I learned at that time that trans doesn't always mean a fetish. It's also who you are in a way of life. And, you don't need to be fetishized just because you're trans.
You
So
know, you bring
thankfully I had that from a very early age. And so 15, it's when I was like, I'm trans. I am a trans woman. And I didn't tell anybody out loud until I was 16. Um, and then when I was 17, that's when I started publicly wearing only female clothes, wearing makeup during the day when I wasn't on stage.
so if you don't mind, when you were publicly going through that transition, how did let's say your closest friends and the people who were closest in your life handle that transition?
For the most part, pretty well. Um, my mom and my sisters, you know, they were like, well, all of my sisters were like about time. They knew before I did. They were just happy that I finally understood it and and finally started, figuring out what the fuck was going on with me. My mother was very accepting. She was very, very happy, uh, and she never questioned it. It's just how it was. I lost quite a bit of friends. Uh, I
Really?
want to I want to say about half of my friends that I had, I lost, and I still haven't talked to this day. Um, but I like to think that the real ones stayed. The real ones have definitely stayed. Um, and the first person I ever admitted being trans to, actually, she's still one of my best friends today.
I love that, babe. And I'm sorry about those people who didn't get a chance to finally meet this person who I see in front of me because they're completely missing out. Who is sitting here right now? You're such a beautiful person, and if they wanted to cut you out of their life because they're ignorant and they don't understand what you were going through, let it be because they don't deserve you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, my love. Now, Stephanie, as you've mentioned, you discovered drag and then you went through a process of finding your trans identity. Will you tell me a little bit what doing drag means to you now as a trans person at this point in your career?
What it means to me now, uh, now it's a platform. Uh, and that's exactly what it is. Because we're all born naked and the rest is drag, right? And so the world is our stage. So with that nonsense, excuse me, with that notion, if the world is my stage, then when I'm on stage, that's my platform. Because for those 4 to 5 minutes, I'm capturing your attention. I am the one thing on your mind. I have the power to instill my vision, my views, and my emotions and my feelings on your mind and your heart. Now, you may not understand that that's exactly what I'm doing because of the art form I'm choosing, but that just goes to show how good at it I am.
Yes. I love it. You freaking sassy bitch. And you are so good at being a performer. I mean, I see so much energy that you bring to stage. And I mean, bitch, you do things I can't do. I would hurt myself if I tried to do the things you do on stage.
You
Now,
know, I don't know how I do them either. They just happen.
well, I'll just probably say that you have a few shots of tequila under your belt and it just takes all the pain away.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ah! Well, bitch, with all that said, do you ever feel like you were ever treated any differently within the drag community being a trans person at all?
Whew, girl, have I ever? Hallelujah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I have felt that way. And yes, I do feel that I still am looked at like that. Yes, God. Yes, ma'am.
Tell us a
Absolutely.
little bit about that because I want people to realize the struggle you go through with having a trans identity and still being a performer.
Right. So here's my problem. Ooh, I am so ready for this question. I not only do I have to battle with the everyday struggles of being a trans person in a Trump administration, I have to deal with every person I come into contact, whether they can clock my trans identity or if I tell them. I now have to battle with their preconceived notion of what a trans person is. I have to battle with how they think a trans person should dress, act, look, work. I'm sorry, my trans identity is not for you to define.
Yes,
If
I
I
agree.
wanted to be defined, I would have became a dictionary. But I didn't. I became a queen. So I feel like today, uh, talking about, like we touched on earlier, the difference between there is a different character between Stephanie as a woman and Stephanie as a queen. I don't feel like people actually give me the dues that I have earned. Not that I'm not owed anything and nothing is given to me by right. But I do feel and believe that I have earned the right for respect of the difference between Stephanie as a woman and Stephanie as a queen. And I don't feel like I get that in the drag community or the queer community as a whole. Now, not saying this is specific to a city, not saying this is specific to a circle of friends or a circle of queens or nothing, but the community as a whole, I have to fight it. The community as a whole, I'm still fighting every day what people think I shouldn't be doing.
And I think that's kind of, um, I hate that that's still happening because I feel like that's a stigma that's pushed on a lot of people. And honestly, especially if they don't understand the transition and what you're actually going through as a person, they really shouldn't be putting their opinions in there. And, you know,
Absolutely. It's like one of the things I constantly am fighting is facial hair.
okay,
Child, look, I ain't got none today. I ain't got no chest hair today. But guess what? Again, I'm human.
it happens.
Humans grow hair. It doesn't matter if I have hair on my chest, my tummy, my diamonds, or my face. It doesn't mean I'm not a woman. There are cis women who have full beards, mustaches, hair on their chest. Doesn't make them any less than a woman. So, why do I have to battle this negativity constantly? Again, because people have a preconceived notion of what it is to be trans, while not being trans themselves or having ever questioned their identity as a trans person.
Which is,
Because there are people who have wanted to transition or started to transition and then realized that that wasn't who they were. And again, they transitioned to who they were supposed to be, whether that was them as cis or another variation of a trans person.
and I think what you're saying is so real, girl, and I really
And
appreciate you.
reeling my titties.
Well, it's a struggle that I feel like a lot of people go through. And, I think it can be very hard to feel like people accept you through and through. And, that's why, like, with me and you and our relationship, as far as I've ever known you, you have always identified as a female. So to me, I've never struggled with looking at you as a woman. I don't care if you have fur on your face or your titties, you're still a woman.
Right.
And, you know, I don't understand why it's hard for people sometimes because, I look at you and I know you and I'm like, why would you think that she is anything else but a woman? I mean, she has the mannerisms of a woman, she has the looks of a woman. Why are you doubting it?
And I think another reason is not just my facial hair, but also my like the sound of my voice. And when if people ever use the argument, with me of like, oh, you have a deep voice, it's like, you know what? You know who else has a deep voice? Dr. Maya Angelou. You know who else also has a deep voice? Anita Baker. Who also has a deep voice? Toni Braxton. I can go on and on and on of women that have a deep voice, whether they're singing or talking. So don't try to come at me with that bullshit. Go ahead and miss me with that. I don't know. I couldn't answer it. I feel like if where there was if you can remember the names of the evolutions of Pokemon, you can remember my name and my pronouns when I decide to change them. No
A
matter no matter how often I want to change them, you can still learn it.
A fucking men.
Because how many evolutions of Eevee are there? And people out there know every single one of them?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a Pokemon person. Sorry, baby.
Oh, no, I was looking in the camera at somebody I know that's going to be watching this because they know that I'm talking to.
Good. Well, I'm happy that we're touching on the subject. Another thing I'd really like to talk to you about is how tell me a little bit like what dating is actually like for you as a trans person, especially when you're out doing drag shows and that you have these two different personalities.
Yeah. Whew, girl. Okay. Um. So dating while trans is a mess, and when I say a mess, I mean let's picture let's picture Kansas after the tornado that took Dorothy to Oz. That kind of mess. That's what trans dating is like, at least in my experience. Not for every trans person, because I can't speak for every trans person. But in my experience, that's exactly what it's like. And let me tell you why. Again, when I'm Stephanie, when I look like this and when I'm out in public, it's nothing for me to flirt with somebody or for me, to talk to somebody. It's kind of my job, kind of, not really, but it's also, again, it's me playing into the character, and it's me hiding behind the makeup, which is my armor, you know. Um, and so I have no problem when I'm in drag. When I'm by myself, or like when I say by myself, I mean like when I'm not in drag and I'm myself, my everyday self. I have pictures of me in makeup on my dating profiles, and I've had to take some of them down because people just expect me to look that way.
All the time.
And exactly, and it's like, you know what? If we fall asleep in a bed, you're not gonna wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and see me with a full fucking beaten bed. What's not gonna happen is that this makeup is way too expensive for me to give a fuck about the ego of somebody with,
I
the
hear that.
it with somebody who has literally the same value as a bug that's on my patio in my life. And I say that because the people that expect that from me are only surface value people in my life.
Hmm.
Because anytime that I've actually ever had a relationship, they have loved every bit of me, every ounce of weight that I am, every inch of skin that I have, with and without makeup.
Good. They should because you're
Right, but
beautiful.
that's a relationship. But dating, honey, but child, I
So
don't even consider myself dating. If anything, I'm just getting my rocks off in the meantime.
well, and I love that. Get your rocks off while you can, bitch. But I do have a question with that said. And you mentioned something that really kind of sprouted this in my mind. And if you don't want to answer it, feel free. But
Again, I will answer all questions. You know this girl.
good, because this one I feel like might be important to talk about. And that is that some men treat you as a trans woman as a fetish.
Absolutely. Day in
And
and day out.
and I don't feel like that's fair because you're humans. And I can get being attracted to a trans person, but I mean, does it bother you to be called a fetish at all?
No, it. Ooh, sorry, excuse me.
Ooh, speaking of fetish, she's showing her titties.
I'm not trying to. It was just uncomfortable because I was writing down. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, it doesn't bother me because if I let it bother me, then I would have done something very, very stupid and selfish a long time ago. Um, I. It's kind of like like shooting myself in the foot or inserting my foot into my mouth when I say this, but the opinions of people who look at me as a fetish don't bother me. I pay them no mind.
Okay,
Now,
good.
I can't say that I do that in all aspects of my life because, especially with a couple of recent events and a couple of issues in my past, I have allowed others' opinions or thoughts to affect me. But when it comes to fetishizing me, that's such an instant numbing. You might as well be Novocaine from the dentist office. Yeah, there's a little pinch in the beginning, but once that medicine kicks in, I'm just numb to it. So when I get a whiff or a hint of somebody interacting with me because I'm a fetish to them or like that's what is coming off, boop, bye. get your life.
You know what? Amen, bitch. Amen. Now,
I don't have time.
honey, I want to kind of go a different direction just because we want to stay on time. And that is now, let's kind of dive back towards your drag persona and actually talk a little bit who you are as a drag character now. Can you tell me a little bit about your drag style?
I like to think my drag style is ever changing while it's still stagnant. um, and I know that completely contradicts itself, but I guess that is my aesthetic. My aesthetic contradicts itself. I I like to personify and embody a song in my image. Um, so, for example, let's say I'm doing my Hercules mix, right? From the Disney Hercules, my Disney Hercules mix.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, that I'm lip syncing to the voices of the muses, right? Goddesses of the arts and proclaimers of heroes, like the lyrics are saying. So whenever I do that mix, I need to be dressed or look in a way that makes me feel like a goddess. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to look like the movie,
Right.
especially not the short, fat black bitch that everybody thinks that I am, which I am. It's not a problem. Okay. Honey, you mean hunky? And that's me. But I don't always want to, like it, and it's ever changing. I can do that number tonight and look one way, and then tomorrow I can do the same mix at the same venue, hell, with or without the same crowd, and look a different way. Because that day, feeling a goddess feels to me different than it did the day before.
Okay. I feel that.
So I, it's really hard for me to plan outfits that way. But there are some times when it comes to my aesthetic where I'm just like, ooh, bitch, no, this song needs this outfit every single time that I do it. And there are a couple of numbers that I have in my pocket that have a certain, outfit that I only wear for that number. Or if I do that number, I only wear that outfit. Or that hair, or I'll do this look, Um, but I like to say my character and my aesthetic is fun. It's powerful, strong, entertaining, captivating, and illusionary.
Mm, I love that, bitch. I mean, that is great. And it's good to know a little bit about kind of your style. But, why don't you tell us a little bit what we were to expect from a Stephanie A. Mercury Experience performance? Besides just like you mentioned, kind of these muse mixes, what's kind of some of the other stuff that you do on stage?
Um, so when I first started performing, I was not a dancing queen. Now, if you've been to any of my shows recently in the last 3 years, you'd find that very hard to believe. Maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. However, I was a ballad queen, and I had a very, very strong rearing when it came to learning how to perform a ballad. And I will never forget the advice that my first drag mother ever gave me, Jaden Nicole Palace. Again, R.I.P. She told me, she was like, if you cannot lip sync a song in the mirror, lip sync a ballad specifically in the mirror, and make yourself cry even a little bit, you're not ready. Uh, you can imagine teenage me was like, bitch, you crazy. I'm not gonna look in no mirror and lip sync to myself and make myself cry. Well, one night I decided to do it, and oh, there it was. I was able to make myself cry. And for the longest time, I didn't think that it would work because I'm like, I'm in my head. I know how to make myself cry. But I just allowed myself to be transported by my facial expressions, by my art, by my performance of the song. And so with that, uh, with my ballads, you can expect to feel something.
I love that. And yeah, I know I definitely think that you take us to a certain emotion when you do your ballads, and you definitely can bring tears to people's eyes, as we've all seen. Now, tell me what kind of music you tend to be attracted to when picking your numbers.
Whatever. So in my everyday life and in my drag life, I walk to the beat of my own drum. I want to perform music that is the exact opposite of the beat of the drum that I'm beating.
Mhm.
And that's because then I can completely become a character. I don't have to necessarily be myself, but I can become another character, or I can embody that song and then take parts with me from my drum, to the new beat. I mean, it's very hard to explain, but I mean, I guess it could be if, you had two playgrounds and you decided to leave one playground and go to another playground, but you're going to bring this, shovel and pail and this basketball over with you to the new playground. And then now at the new playground, you have a completely euphoria. You have this complete balance and this beautiful thing that you didn't have where you were before. That's,
I get that, and I think that's really fabulous. Now, Stephanie, will you finish a sentence for me?
Sure.
Stephanie, ooh, I almost said your real name. Stephanie, a Mercury Experience DuPont is known for blank.
Ooh. Can I have a multiple answer?
Sure, bitch. Give us multiple keys.
um, so Samed, Samed, Samed is my name. Samed is known for a mean split from a thick bitch, an experience of unlike any other you're ever gonna meet, because no matter who you are, or no matter who you are when you or who I am when you meet me, I'm an experience unlike any other.
Yeah.
Um, and also my blue eyeshadow.
What? Your blue eyeshadow something you're known for?
Girl, what's known for is that if I'm wearing blue eyeshadow and I'm out in public or out on the town, her is gonna have a great night. She's probably gonna end up blacking out. Probably not gonna remember what happened that night. So if I wear blue eyeshadow, I always make sure to be with somebody that I know is going to have my back and help me get home, and basically will be responsible for me until I
So
wake
what
up.
you're saying is blue is your bougie color.
No, blue's my ratchet color.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Now, Stephanie, what's the craziest thing you've ever done on stage?
Oh, couple things. Uh, so there was. I'm not gonna tell that one, but I'll tell this one. I wasn't performing, but I was sitting near the stage, and I can't believe I'm telling the story. um, there was a performer who was performing, and he sat in my lap and bent over, and I leaned forward, acting like I was gonna lick the their lower back, and my tongue made contact, and they shot right up, and yeah, so that happened on stage.
Oh,
um,
oh my.
and then, but I wasn't the one performing; they were performing. I wasn't. And then something just happened while I was on stage. Um, when I was turning 24, I was so drunk performing at CC Slaughters that for my third number, I blacked out in the middle of my second number. I still performed it very well, but I blacked out. I have no memory of it. And the video of my third number is me trying to be Mariah Carey from MTV Cribs and just be sexy and sultry and rolling all over the floor, trying to pick up money that people were throwing at me because I wasn't standing up to grab the money out of their hand. So they were just throwing it at me on the floor. And I was just rolling around in money like it was my millions. And that was one of the things that solidified me as the Northwest Mariah Carey.
Well, girl, you are definitely a crazy entertainer. Now, with that said, you've mentioned you do a lot of stunts where you drop or you do kicks or you do the splits. Have you ever actually hurt yourself doing some of those tricks for the audience?
Girl, no, never, not at all. I have. I have actually dislocated my knee quite a few times dropping into the splits at many different shows and different venues and occasions all over the map and all over my career. And then there was one time when I was in Boise, Idaho, where I came this close to death. And what I mean by that close is I went in to do a death drop, and I was this close from hitting the corner of the stage at the balcony. And I didn't hit the stage, and I didn't hurt myself, but everybody that was, in viewing, this vicinity of seeing what was going on, yeah, they thought they were about to witness me dying.
You fucking crazy bitch. Oh my
You know
God.
what? If I go out while I'm performing,
No.
at least I died doing something that I love.
I mean, that's true. I mean, but
It's not
girl,
a goal of mine, but you know what? I've come to peace with
you are just so crazy. Now, girl, tell me a little bit, as a drag queen, what does it mean to you to be a trans activist and be able to do performances to bring more awareness to the trans community?
It's my job. Ah, cool. So I believe that the only way to get rid of ignorance, not arrogance, but ignorance, is through education.
Mm.
And I believe that if you identify as trans anywhere under the umbrella, as you can see, I had the trans flag behind me. As we know, the blue is for, trans men, the pink is for trans women, and the white is for non-binary and non-conforming people. So everybody under this umbrella, if they choose or have the ability to educate others, it's our job. It's our duty. And not because I say so, or not because anybody say so, but because, you know what? Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, they didn't need anybody else before them, before they threw the first brick or before they took over the stage and they, made the statement saying that, hey, we're alive, we're real, we're here, we're dying. Help us, just know us, and just accept us. And it's because of those that came before us that we have to keep it going. And one of the things in my life that I've always learned is that, or I've always tried to live, and something I've always had in the back of my brain is that everything that we do as a human race today affects the people of tomorrow as far as 7 years in the future. And so if enough of us as trans individuals can take on the mantle of being the educators of the community, or take on the mantle of being the advocates and the activists in the community, then we can change everything 7 years from now. Because how selfish are you to think that you need to see that change within your lifetime?
Right.
The only thing that you need to do within your lifetime is to lay down the foundations so that, someone other than yourself can benefit from the fruits of your labor.
That's such words of wisdom right there, Stephanie, is that, the work that we do as drag performers, as activists, as just people, don't expect that you're going to see the fruits of those labors instantly. The fruits of those labors aren't always going to be something that's going to happen, and at least in your lifetime. And if they do happen in your lifetime, be grateful for that, because you're able to see that growth.
Exactly, and I think it kind of it's hard to necessarily grasp that concept in today's world because we live in the era of the Instagrams and the Snapchats and the Twitters and the Facebook, and we can get that instant gratification.
I know that you can get the instant gratification, but there's also the other side of that when you put yourself in those social settings. And something I've been recently getting myself, just to put it out there, is, I started doing TikTok, and it's so weird to see, especially the younger generation, how quick they are to point out your flaws. Like, I have not the greatest teeth, but like, you go on and you do things to be creative on like these social medias, and some people just want to do nothing but tear you down or just see the negative. And I've had, let's say, people under 16 or younger want to just point out the negative, and it's like, honey, I'm just a human trying to have fun, and I get it, but sometimes those social medias can also be very harmful for your confidence, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. They absolutely can, but also at the same time, because of the world we live in today, it is very easy for a teenager to hide them true selves from their parents.
It's true.
So so then when those teenagers lash out at us, our first instinct is to automatically, blame the parent. Like, what are you teaching your child to do this and this and this and this? When in fact, parents are not the only people raising their children nowadays.
I hear you. And there's influences happening from Netflix to the internet to everything.
You can have a career as an influencer.
Right.
And I don't think people have quite necessarily grasped the concept that all of these social media influencers, they're being called influencers because they're influencing our children more so than our actual parents are.
It's true. It's true, because these kids are watching these videos or these posts, and they kind of think that's the role model they need to stand up to.
Right, and the only thing that they're seeing is all the positives and all the success. They're not seeing all the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears going in to make that perfect 25-minute YouTube video.
That's so true. Now, speaking of what you don't see and being on reality television and being highlighted, I was told by a little birdie, Miss Stephanie, that you got to, as one of the best things that have happened in your career, as you've told me, is you got to meet and perform and work with the one and only New York.
Yeah, that was the moment. That was about a year ago. If I remember correctly, that was April 12th, 2019. And that was amazing. Just that whole experience of how I got the booking and then being at the actual show, and then just how it changed my drag career afterwards.
As a person, like, was she really sweet and very personable?
Oh, honey boo, ciao. Tiffany Pollard, aka New York, aka HBIC, is a lot more humble in person than you would have ever in your wildest dreams expected her to be, with how she's showcased and edited on TV.
And I have to say, I loved me some New York. And I didn't watch the original show she was on, but I did watch all the dating shows that featured, like, I Love New York and her actual signature shows. I believe back in the day, I would watch I Love New York and A Shot of Love with Tila Tequila.
Yep.
And those were like my two favorite dating shows. And the reason I love Tila Tequila, because it was, I believe, the first bisexual dating show of the time.
She was, yes. Well, at least public bisexual.
Now, Stephanie, as we've mentioned, you've done so many amazing things, and you've done some fantastic shows, and you got to live up some of your fantasies to full life. One of those fantasies that you told me about and that you actually got to do is you got to perform for Peacock in the Park before they stopped doing those events. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I did. Yeah, okay. It was at the end of June last year, 2018, which unfortunately ended up being, at least to my knowledge from their a statement they released a couple months ago, is going to be their last Peacock in the Park for a little bit. And I had the absolute pleasure of being able to perform alongside the Imperial Sovereign Court of the Raintree Empire in Vancouver, Washington, the Court of Small Claims. Um, Before I ran and grabbed this beauty that I have on top of my head, but we can talk about her later. But it was a moment because it was my first time going ever to Peacock in the Park. I had gone to Peacock After Dark, and many different fundraising shows for Peacock or Peacock Productions and the scholarship fund attached to them. And so it was a thrilling experience. And I got to, just have a picnic with all of my closest friends in the community. And it was great. And then I got to perform along some of my greatest friends and family that I've had the absolute pleasure of obtaining and gaining and having by my side and on my side. And, I even got a little bit of a small part to do like a solo, so to speak. And it was received really well from the crowd. And if you've ever seen any performance videos or been to Peacock in the Park and seen people perform there, you know that you perform on a cement stage. And she, me, her, your girl, she still dropped to the splits.
Are you fucking nuts?
And I was bare-legged, baby. Let me tell you, I was wearing a bodysuit and a little like fabric fringe skirt, but my thighs were fully exposed.
And how much road rash did you get?
Not one.
That's a professional right there, boys and girls and all those in between. And I fucking love it. Now, bitch, speaking of being professional, again, we are learning such a bitch of many talents. And one talent I actually learned through the pre-interview is you are an ordained minister and you perform weddings in full drag.
Full high horror drag. I have. Yes, I have. For about a year, actually, that's all I did. And I've been ordained for 6 years now. And it was a side hustle. I'm not gonna lie. It was a way for me to make, quick money. Oh, hello, darling.
Steph, why don't you do us a favor? Will you marry me to this parrot right now? I'm in love.
Are you in love, darling?
I'm in love.
Well, I really would, but honestly, darling, we need to have a meeting because I need to make sure that you're not being coerced into this because you're not going to ruin my good name by having somebody else make the decision for you.
Well, he's a very rich parrot, and I was planning on feeding him to tigers after I was done marrying him.
Oh, bless your heart, all your parts are married. Congratulations.
I love it. Now, bitch, I love that you have so many talents and that you do things like being a minister, you go and do high kicks on the stage, and then you're just a real human out of all of it. Now, let's dive a little bit more into your shows, just because we do still have so much to talk about. I know you have some regular shows that you are known for doing. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the show that is Glitter Girls?
Glitter Girls, yes. So Glitter Girls is the brainchild of one of my drag children, Calliope Carmichael McPherson, who is debutante 50 of the Imperial Sovereign Rose Court.
Yes.
And she approached me, she sent me a message one day and she was like, hey, how would you like to, co-host this show with Victoria DuPont? And I'm like, Victoria DuPont is one of my best friends ever. Like, she, we used to live together, like, she's one of the greatest people I've ever had the pleasure of encountering in this lifetime and on this earth. And so it was a no-brainer to want to do a show with her. Um, and so then we started, and every second and fourth Mondays we were there. You know, that we were there whether there was 5 people or 50 people or no people in the audience. And we've been doing it for just over a year now. January 27th was our 1 year anniversary of Glitter Girls. We have switched venues. We were at Curious Comedy Theater off of MLK Boulevard in Northeast Portland, and now we are down at Kelly's Olympian in downtown Portland, and it's been amazing. We've held auditions for a new cast. We have had guests of all magnitude, sizes, and creed and aesthetics, and it didn't even matter if you identify as a king or a queen. If you can sing live vocals, guess what? You can come and do our show. If you're, you know, if you consider yourself drag royalty but don't identify as a king or as a queen, cool. Guess what? We want you. Like, Glitter Girls is not a show that has built-in misogyny. It's only called Glitter Girls is because the people that run it are girls, and we love glitter.
I love that.
you
And I
know,
think that,
and it's like in the drag community, no matter who you are, you're like girl, girl, girl. It's a very loose term nowadays. It's not so much gendering somebody
right.
specifically nowadays. It's just like, oh, it's a more politically correct way to say bitch, if you will.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, Glitter Girls is because no matter what, like everyone who gets on our stage is going to sparkle in their own right, in their own light, and we have an amazing lighting system. So I don't know why you would want to perform on the show.
I love that, bitch. And I think it's so amazing that you have a platform where you're featuring everyone. And I think that's really beautiful. Now, with that said, I know there are other shows that really platform a specific type of performer that is important to feature at this day and age, and that is a show that is known in Portland as Black Magic, and that is a show that features mainly, or I think actually all POC performers, which is
It is. It is. So Black Magic is. First of all, it's not my show. I don't own it or produce it or anything.
Mhm.
I just had the great pleasure and honor of being able to perform in it a few times. But nonetheless, Rogue Safari has outdone herself. And Black Magic, anyone can go and watch the show, no matter your race, religion, your creed, ethnicity, whatever. But in order for you to perform in the show, you must be a person of color because it's important for us to spotlight people of color in this day and age when typically we get thrown to the wayside or we may, get not, we may not be as at the top of the list or off the top of the brain when we're being thought about for shows.
And I think that's really true, Stephanie. And I hate to say that that happens this day and age, but it does still happen. Now, why don't you tell us why these shows like Black Magic that are featuring POC performers are so important to feature within our community this day and age?
It shows inclusion, and it shows that you not only see us, but you value us. And you value our art in a way that we can have a safe space to fully embrace whatever our cultures are as people of color and be able to showcase them in a space that's going to be celebrated. It's not going to be looked at as weird or judged or be like, oh, you don't belong. No, I do belong. This is my space. This is my time. And I'm going to use it how I want. If you don't like it, there's the door.
I
You
love
can do
that.
that anywhere. You can do that anywhere. But when we have these kind of shows, these are protected. No one gets to have a larger voice. No one gets to have that other final say so. This is our space. This is our show. This is our moment. This is our art.
I think that is so powerful and very beautiful to hear that. And I do want to give a large shout out to Rogue Safari out there in Portland for providing a space for performers such as you who can feature your art. Now, Stephanie, why don't you tell us what kind of performances you may be known to do at shows such as Black Magic?
Uh, more so than ever, if I do a show like Black Magic or there's another show called Melange that's in Portland. Um, there's another show that I hope to be able to do here pretty soon called Crown Me. And the kind of performances you can see from me at those are the more dramatic. Like I bring more drama, or I will do more, music specifically done by people of color, specifically Black women. And it's what I try to do. Or, if it's not necessarily a Black woman, a person, it's still a person of color, because I still want to showcase my intersecting identity. And I feel like I can do that at shows like Black Magic and Melange. And I mean, I feel like I can do it at Glitter Girls too, but Glitter Girls caters to a different audience rather than, Black Magic. And, every time I've had the pleasure and honor of performing in Black Magic, it's been for my community. Because my community has not only showed up, but showed out in support, And so it's like, you see me, I see you. I'm gonna give you something that you didn't think I was gonna bring it, but you know what? You know exactly what song it is. You know what movie it is, and you probably know all the words to it. And so you probably performing in your seat with me, and you having a grand old time because I'm reminding you of a moment in time that was blissful to you.
I love that. And with all that said, Stephanie, as a performer, what kind of message do you want the audience to take away from seeing you in a performance?
Anyone can do anything. I love the reaction that I get from people when my name is announced on stage. Because when you hear my name, if you don't know who I am, you don't know what I look like. And as soon as I walk up towards the stage, or if I get on stage, honey, I'm a big thick bitch. Okay, I'm THICCC, not two C's but three. Okay, I'm a thick bitch. Automatic, systematic. People are gonna be like, oh, this ain't gonna be nothing. She ain't gonna do all that. She's not like all these other skinny queens that be doing the cartwheels, the flips, and the tricks and shit. Guess what? She can and she does.
Bitch, don't judge a book by its cover, because that cover might fucking do circles all around you.
Baby, you cannot predict me, boo. I'm not the weather.
I love it so much. Now, honey, you've mentioned you've worked with New York, and I know you've gotten to work with a lot of the Camp Wanakiki girls, and you've even been privileged enough to work with me, Maliena Bitchcock. Bitch, I wish I was a celebrity. Why don't you tell me one of the biggest names you've been able to work with within your drag career?
You know, oh wow, ooh, really put me on the spot here. Okay. Can I give you five?
You can give me two.
Two? Okay, so one of them would have to be. Oh, girl, way to put me on the spot. Just two? Okay.
Sorry, bitch, we have a time limit to stick to.
I know. Okay, you know what? All right, here we go. So the first one is gonna be Baby Moore.
Okay.
She was my Miss Northwest Fierce last year. She's been my drag sister for over a decade. And anytime and every time I've ever needed her, she's been there. But bitch, that bitch can flip and do tricks and do everything to high heaven every single number of every single fucking show that she does. And trust me, I have been this bitch's fucking assistant when I have been the one out of drag going with her to the gigs, making sure her breastplate is clean, her wigs is right, her makeup is right, her outfits get on and everything. And I know how much this bitch is putting in for each number, and she still turns it out. you know, and now she's moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, and I hope her career takes off down there better than it ever did up here because that bitch deserves to be somewhere. Let me tell you, absolutely, the baby more, hands down.
I love that. Now, yeah, one more.
One more. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and say probably Flawless Shade.
Okay, I love her. Tell me more.
Right now, she's the current Miss Gay Oregon. Um, her journey, her art, her passion, everything about her as a queen, and everything about her as a human other than a queen, I'm here for. Uh, she knows how to captivate a room. She knows how to captivate an audience. She knows how to be shady and snarky while still being real and genuine. She knows when to be right and when to be wrong. She has had great amounts of success on the local and national levels, yet she's still one of the humblest people, as if she's the one that creates humble pie. You know, I like to think of Flawless Shade as a skinny version of Latrice Royale.
Oh, I love that.
Like, and in case you didn't know, this right here, this is Latrice Royale's autograph on my trans flag. Um, so for me to say that about Flawless is not a light thing because Latrice is very near and dear to my heart. Uh, but definitely Flawless Shade.
I
She's
love that.
she's always fighting the good fight. She's always doing the right things. She's always living her life to the fullest and the best. And as a person of color, she's always facing adversity and oppression. Yet somehow, some way, she still comes out with a clean crease and a smile on her face. And
I
that's worth more than any amount of money to me in this world.
I think that is so true. Everything you just said about Flawless, because Flawless is again one of the most sweetest bitches I've met throughout my journey in drag. And again, I get intimidated by beauty, and when I saw her, I was almost taken aback. But then, like, it was almost instantly she saw me, she welcomed me, and I'm so happy that I was able to meet her. In fact, I even got the opportunity to interview Flawless Shade here on Bitch Talk with
I
Bitchcock.
know. I live for that episode, darling.
And I'm so happy we got to do it because we got to spill so much tea. And if you haven't yet watched that episode with Flawless Shade, please
Watch
make
it.
sure to tune into it because it was such a good episode. Now,
You know, and also, I would like to say one last thing about Flawless is that Flawless has always been very vocal to any performer that is killing it on stage. I have, there are three times specifically in my mind that stick out where Flawless showed up and showed out and was louder than the music I was performing to, just so that she knew that I knew that she was on my side. Always.
I think that's wonderful. And, honestly, even I've witnessed that with Flawless. I've been brought down to do brunch at Stag before from Miss Kimberly Michelle Westwood. And
Never heard of her.
Flawless showed up out of drag and was shouting and tipping louder than anyone else. And that's, I think, when I really just started to grow. I already loved her as a performer, but I started to love her as a person in that moment because it's like, that's a genuine person right there. Now,
Absolutely.
Stephanie, we actually have to keep this going. So you have had so many accomplishments within your drag career, it's hard to even pick one of them. In fact, you have so many titles that you have underneath your belt. We'll break them down a little bit one by one, but we do need to keep them a little brief. Let's start with talking about Ms. Northwest Fierce and the fact that you actually won.
I did. um, so yeah, 2019. About a month before the pageant, my drag sister baby, she hit me up. She was like, "Hey, girl, we've always talked about doing a pageant together, you know, and winning pageants together." She's like, "They have a Miss category, MISS, that she was running for. They had a Ms. category, MS, that I could run for. She was like, "Why don't you do it?" And I was like, "Girl, no." Like I can mind you, when I ran for Northwest Fierce about a month before, I had just won Ms. Gay Pride of Vancouver. I was like, "Girl, I already got a title. I don't need this." She was like, "It don't matter. It's a bar title." She was like, "Just do it, have fun." And it was one of the best nights of my life, and one of the best experiences of my life. Prepping for the pageant, getting that sister time with her, and then actually being at the pageant and the reception that I got from the judges, from my co-contestants, and from the audience. It was one of the most memorable nights of my life, and I will never forget
I love that, Stephanie. Would you say that you are a pageant queen?
it. Yes, we'll just say yes.
Okay. And are you competitive when you compete in a pageant?
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm not spending all that money for nothing.
Are
You
you
know,
ready to throw pearls on the stage and make sure those other bitches are falling?
no, because she'll never wear pearls.
Oh, just the pearl necklace that the gentleman gave you.
I'll never tell.
Well, honey, again, you have done so many things. And as you mentioned, you even held a title of Miss Vancouver Gay Pride, correct?
I did.
Oh my God. Tell us a little something brief about that title.
So, yeah. So, before I won Ms. Gay Pride of Vancouver, about 4 or 5 years before, I ran, or 4 years, yeah, about 4 years, I ran and won Ms. Gay Pride of Portland in 2014. And I completed my year. I stepped down in 2015, and it was great. And then I moved to Vancouver, and I wanted to run in a pageant again because I was starting to get, the pageant fever, and I just wanted to get back out there and start, doing more with my community and having a platform within my community to affect change. And so I sought out to run for Gay Pride of Vancouver, and I did that.
Perfect.
And I won, and it was great.
I love that, Stephanie. And what is your platform as a title holder?
Um, my platform as a title holder is to use my platform to help the betterment, the enrichment, and the encouragement of my community. And not just a singular community, but every community I have a representation in.
I
Because
love that.
as an individual, I have an intersecting identity, so I have intersecting communities. And it's my job to help better and enrich and encourage every single one of them.
Yes, absolutely beautiful. So, Miss Stephanie, you have also held many titles within the court system. You were most recently known as Ms. Gay Vancouver. Tell us a little bit about that experience and that shiny crown on your head.
Well, yes, darling. Yes, so I when I moved to Vancouver, and I ran for Gay Pride of Vancouver, and I was just gonna do that. But then I started, all of my friends, were in the international court system, and it's specifically, within the court of Vancouver, the court of Portland, and the court of Eugene. Some of my very closest friends, and it became known to me that it wouldn't necessarily have been conflicting or necessarily an issue for me to be able to do both, as long as I felt confident within myself to be able to do both. I did it. I wouldn't encourage it to anybody with that faint of heart. It is not easy. It can be done, but it's not easy. You have to do a lot of hard work. It's more than just a shiny hat. But I ran for Gay Vancouver because I wanted to strengthen my city on top of bettering, encouraging, and enriching it. I wanted to help better the community. And I wanted to help bring more fun and shed more light on the city of Vancouver.
And I think you've done that, honey. You really bring a joy and a happiness when you are definitely when you're representing as your title. And I've come out to Vancouver a couple of times to support you, and I was even there the night that you were crowned.
You
And
went.
yes, I picture I would have had it no other way. And the fact I even looked at my emperor at the time and said, we have to fucking be in Vancouver. And I think it was a Sunday, which means the next day I had to be at work. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll deal with the consequences because this is my sister.
Yes, no, I was very happy to not only have you while you were reigning as Empress, but also your Emperor and your Princess and your Prince. Literally, the whole court of Eugene was there in Vancouver to support me. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Eugene
That crowd.
royalty loves you, Stephanie. As Empress 45 of Eugene, Maliena Bitchcock, I just want you to know we fucking respect and love the fuck out of you.
Thank you, baby.
So, Miss Stephanie, speaking of Eugene Court, you are currently the half Empress of Eugene. To
I am.
Yes, look at all those crowns. And to Emperor Eric and Miss Empress Francesca, you are doing such a great job as half Empress and representing the court. But a little birdie told me this last step down, which was Coronation 45, you got to perform, but that event really meant something to you. Why don't you tell us about that a bit?
Yes. Yes. So, when Reign 45 of Eugene, your reign, when it was your step down coronation, it it ended up being a more monumental and very, very like memorable night in my life and my career. Uh, before anything, I was obviously going to attend because you and Hunter and Francesca and Scott are some of my dearest and best friends, and I'm so fucking proud of you guys. But not only that, but your Emperor Hunter asked me to be his command performer at your guys' step down, and that I cried. I got that message literally the day after I won Gay Vancouver, and I got that message, and I literally just started bawling because it's not a very frivolous or small or light thing to be asked to be a command performer at a coronation. And so I knew that if I was being asked, I was ready and I just had to bring my A game. And now, flash forward to actually the night of the coronation, I was brought to tears by your final walk, by Hunter's final walk, Scott's, and Francesca's. And I had my celebrity moment, if you will, between the staging and the lighting and the audience of Eugene Coronation. Bitch, that was everything. And the mix that I performed, I'd like to say it was pretty good, if I do say so myself. And it was really the stamp of approval that I needed. Um, because
I,
not only that night that was I able to be a command performer, but I also got the joint P&P award from Francesca and Scott. And that threw me for a loop, and I didn't know that it was happening, and I was not there to receive the award because I had dislocated my knee during my command performance. But Eugene showed me a lot of love, and it was earth shattering.
well, honey, Eugene loves you. And I mean, you have brought so much love and support through the last 2 years that you've shown us. And I love that I grew a relationship with you and that you are, I consider one of my closest sisters. And you're actually one of the most comfortable people I feel comfortable talking to besides Faye Kit Knightley.
Oh,
So,
I love you. And oh, I also got a very, very beautiful painting from you and Hunter. It's hanging up. Like I still have it. Like, oh my God, it's everything.
uh, yes, we got that. We wanted to give it to you as an unofficial award as our appreciation for everything you did for us because, again, you were very special to us. Now, Stephanie, with that said, you've done all this shit. What are we to expect from you next once the bars open up and we're allowed to perform again?
You can expect me to focus to bettering and evolving Glitter Girls to the next level on the next stage.
Ah,
Um, Also during this, quarantine, I have tried to up my makeup skills and my craftsmanship when it comes to wigs and outfits. So you might see some new hair. You might see some new hair. You might see some new outfits. You know, you might see some weight loss. You never know. You never know. You might see a whole new body, yaddy yaddy.
I love it. I just am titillated by that idea. Ooh.
Mhm.
Well, Stephanie, I'm so excited to see what you do next, but I guess I'm really interested to see how you enjoyed your experience and what you thought of your experience on Bitch Talk with Bitchcock.
Everything. That girl, this is everything and more. Like I I might be at my house and you might be at your house and this is over like a screen, but this is still the most professional thing that I didn't know to expect from you, you know, and just how this whole process goes down. You're very professional, you're very on point, you're very charismatic, you're very caring. And girl, you can have me back whenever you want, girl.
Thank you. And I'm trying not to like get emotional over here because your opinion means so much to me. But no, honey, I take this very seriously, like I would take any other gig. And a lot of people don't realize all the work I put into it. We do a pre-interview the
Right,
day before, and then the morning of the interview, I sit down and actually rearrange your questions and write cue cards. So,
right,
and then I'm booking people. But I'm very blessed with Bitch Talk because I have had the support of all you in the community, which has I did not expect, truthfully, because you never know with these kind of things if they're going to flop or what's going to happen. But right now, I'm
absolutely.
booked all the way through May, Stephanie, and I'm kind of waiting to start booking for June, just depending on what happens with the coronavirus.
Right. No, I think that's very smart, you know, but like honestly, like girl, you're putting out content 3 times a week, you know, like
Hard.
YouTubers could never, you know, like, and now, successful YouTubers, they'll put out, once or twice a week. You putting up 3 times a week, like, all right, bitch. If you putting out 3 times a week to bitch talk with Bitchcock, how many times a week you putting out to your mans and them?
Twice, honestly.
A day.
Yeah, well, I still got needs, but you know what? I think it's important this day and age, especially with people trapped at home and having a lot of stir craziness, missing drag, missing the art of what we do. I thought this would be a great way to give a little drag to you while you're at home, but also, feature and uplift my fellow performers who I love and respect so much, because this is what we're
Absolutely.
this is what we were supposed to do, is support and love one another, and especially at hard times like this. I couldn't imagine anything else to do but support my friends and have fun, do drag, and try to earn a little dime on the side.
Hallelujah.
So speaking of a little dime on the side, Stephanie, you have survived the main interview of Bitch Talk with Bitchcock, which I'm so happy to say. If you
Ooh.
enjoyed this interview with this gorgeous bitch, please make sure to look in the description of this interview where you can find her PayPal, her Venmo, and Cash App information, and you can give her a little something extra just because, again, these are hard times, and anything you can tip is highly appreciated.
And
Now,
never mandatory.
no, never mandatory, but highly appreciated. Now, with that also said, Maliena Bitchcock has some merchandise she is selling right now. I am selling a 3-pack of stickers for $13. You get all 3 stickers.
Oh, yes,
And
ma'am.
if you buy this right now, you might get a special extra gift. And the first one that buys a sticker pack for me this week will get a makeup wipe transfer of my face that I did as Carol Baskin. So I'm just saying it could be worth it. So, bitch, you survived the main interview, and we have a lot to get into. Before we get into our game that we're going to do, I do just want to announce that our next guest will be coming up on April 22nd. We have a drag king
The
superstar.
27th. You mean the
Yes.
27th, darling?
Wait, what is today?
Today's the 24th. You can't have somebody on the 22nd. That was 2 days ago, darling.
I don't know when it is. Quarantine's getting to me. So yes, the 27th.
It's okay, darling. Your sister Stephanie is always here to help.
I appreciate it. Well, we have a drag king superstar, Crucifix Magnetic, joining us to share all the tea and really get into it. It's going to be such an amazing interview, and it's coming up this
Yes, we
Monday.
love Crucifix Magnetic. And in case you didn't know, after quarantine, you can catch him on Cast at Good Girls.
Oh, yes. Well, love, I really want to get into it because we still have a couple of games to play. I
Let's
want to
do
start
it.
with a little bitch talk with Bitchcock favorite that we like to call Marry, Kai, or Cancel.
Oh,
And
Lord.
yeah, bitch. And how this works is I'm going to name 3 names of bitches you may know, work with, and you're going to tell us who you're going to marry, who you would Kai, and who you just want to see get canceled completely.
And just so that we're clear, by Kai we mean sleep with, like have sex with, like
I
do the dirty.
fuck. Yeah, fuck them.
Okay.
Okay, and as a disclosure, again, anyone watching whose name may be mentioned, this is just for fun. This is not meant to be serious. Please don't take offense. Please don't send hate mail or any dirty messages to me or Stephanie. This is just for humor and just good times, guys.
But if I
So,
say that I want to Kai you or marry you, hit a bitch up. My inbox is open and I ain't got no ring on my finger.
yes. Well, Miss Bitch, let's get to it. Your first round. We have Miss Kimberly Michelle Westwood, the wig superstar herself, Miss Lilac, and your best girlfriend in drag, Maliena Bitchcock.
um. So ooh, I would marry you because
Ooh!
I cannot imagine my life without you.
Oh,
I would. I would Kai with Lilac and I would cancel Kimberly Michelle.
you did! You did cancel Kimberly!
She's been Empress of the Decade. Bitch is done and over with. She's already washed up like yesterday's jeans. Next.
Bye, bitch. I
Look,
love it.
Kimberly Michelle Westwood is over. It's time for Kimberly Michelle Fatwood.
Yes.
Although after quarantine, Kimberly Michelle Westwood might become Kimberly Michelle Fatwood. So we'll see.
Oh, wait. Oh, the tea, the shade. Huh? Well, for the next round, we're going to bring it to the boys. And these are some of the best male performers that we may know throughout Portland and Salem. We're going to have the one and only Ty Van Helsing,
Oh my God.
Johnny Woo Fox,
Oh my God.
and Keith Entourage.
Okay. By the way, his name is Keith Entourage Aria.
Okay.
He's kind of my drag husband. So I'll go ahead and marry Keith because he's already my drag husband. And he's probably watching. And I love you, babe. Congratulations on lasting a year with me on the 22nd. And I'd Kai with Ty and I would cancel Johnny.
Ah, yes.
Okay, sorry, hearted, but Ty, Chance, I love you. No offense. Sorry. Johnny, I love you. Please don't hate me.
Great choices, baby. And again, no one takes this personally. This is just a game. So for round 3, we have the one and only Camp Wanakiki's Diana Fire.
Ooh.
We have the Princess of Portland, Devlin Phoenix, and a mega Portland superstar, Touche Douche.
Okay, so you said Touche Douche, Devlin, and
Diana.
I would marry Touche Douche.
Aw.
I'd Kai with Devlin Lynn Phoenix, and I'd cancel Diana Fire because she couldn't even win season 2.
The shade is so real during these games. I love it.
Diana, you know I love you. And I've always saying that because I told it to her in person.
Okay, bitch. Well,
Also, Diana knows that she's daddy, so if she had to be canceled, she still had a career.
I would love to call Diana daddy. I mean, no, I'm just a lady. Well, bitch, let's go to round 4. As we have some of your closest sisters, we have Miss Renegade, Miss
Okay.
Calliope, and Miss Nikki Entourage.
So my mother-in-law, my child, and one of my best friends. Cool. I would. No. You know what? Fuck it. I'd marry Nikki. I'd Kai Ren, and I'd cancel Calliope.
Oh shit. You just canceled your daughter. Calliope, if you're watching, I love you, and I cannot wait to see your response when you come on my show in a little bit.
You know, I'm only canceling her because if she'd had the opportunity, she'd probably cancel my black ass too.
Oh my god, the tea is real. So
But
we
she
have
just
one.
canceled me because she would want to cancel me, not because I was black. Calliope is not racist. Let's not get
Oh,
that twisted.
we hope not, bitch. Absolutely. So we have one last round, round 5, and we have the one and only Flawless Shade, the talented Rogue Safari, and Miss Donatella, My Secrets.
Oh, bitch. You doing this to me? Okay. I'd marry. Girl. Mm. Is it hot in here, or
The
is
tea
it
is real.
just like? Oh, hold on. I gotta get up under my wig. Okay. I love all of you, but I would probably. I'd marry Flawless. I would Kai with Donatella My Secrets, and I would cancel Rogue.
Oh, goodness. You're never getting booked in Black Magic ever again.
I mean, you know what? If the shoe fits, I'll wear it. It's fine.
Bitch. Well, I'm so happy that you played Mary Kai or Cancel. We have one last game and then we're going to say our goodbyes to the audience world. We're going to play a quick speed round of another Bitch Talk with Bitchcock favorite that we call Truth or Drink. So,
Oh,
as mentioned, I've got you to get a little bit of alcohol available so we can get you looped up. Yes. Now I'm going to ask you a series of shady questions, and you're going to either answer the question and maybe just give a brief description, or you'll take a shot and just plead the fifth.
all right.
Plead the fifth. Shot, that is. Well, yes. Well, let's get right into it. And tell me, who is your favorite drag child? Oh, she's gonna take a shot. Yeah.
Whew.
Ooh, did that taste good?
Oh, that was great.
Well, okay, so she pled the fifth on the first question. Let's see what she does for the next one. No, fuck, this is the shady one. So, Stephanie, tell me about the time that you accidentally drank another performer's drink and that it might have had a little something extra in it.
Oh my God. Okay. You know what? I'm going to drink on this one, but I'm going to tell the truth. I'm just taking the drink to prep for the truth. Okay.
Do it.
So, am I really about to tell the story? Yes, I am.
Just leave names out.
No, I will. It was a event up north on the I-5 corridor in Washington State. We won't say the city. I had accidentally mixed one of my drinks with another performer's drinks. And there might have been some extra shenanigans, if you will, inside the cup. And, well, let's just say next thing you know, or next thing I know, or actually next thing I found out the next morning, was that I was butt ass naked running around the hotel, the floor of our hotel room, trying to hide my big ass in the door frame from one of my great friends who was like, "Get your ass inside," who then proceeded to take a video of me holding my titties and twerking on the bed and sent it on Snapchat, and still have this video to this day. You know who you are, and motherfucker, I'm coming for that motherfucker.
Bitch, that's so much tea. I'm so titillated by it. Fuck yes.
You know what? She did it. She done it. It may happen again. She gonna own it.
Okay. Well, we only have a few more questions for Truth or Drink, and then we're going to say our goodbyes, my love.
All right.
Tell us a queen that you refuse to work with. If you don't want to spill the tea, you can always take a shot.
Aquaria.
Okay.
The illegitimate winner of season 10.
Fucking amen. And so we don't get sued, we'll just leave it at that.
I mean, she could try to sue me if she wants to, but what I'm saying is my opinion. She can try it.
Absolutely, bitch. But I love the tea on that. I did not expect such a big name. Now,
well, if she didn't block me on Twitter, it might be a different story.
Someone afraid of the girl's opinion, huh? Well, Aquarium, put your big girl shorts on and handle it. Sorry, I'm going to get myself canceled after that statement. Okay, bitch. Well, then tell me the worst performance flop that has ever happened to you.
Oh.
Oh, she drank.
Yep. Nope. There was 10 people in that audience, and I'm so glad that I don't see any of them anymore.
Okay. Well, then we're going to plead the fifth on that one. Well, Miss Stephanie, I am so happy that you came on my show here on Bitch Talk with Bitchcock.
Thank you, Holly.
Oh, absolutely. I feel so privileged that you were able to come and share your presence with me, honey. I always enjoy spending some time with you. I hope the guests got to know something a little special about you. So I really,
hope so too.
yeah, I really just am so excited that we got you. So again, if you enjoyed this interview with the one and only Stephanie A. Mercury Experience DuPont, please make sure to tip a little something extra for her. Her tipping information, and as long with mine, is in the description, such as PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. If you can tip anything from $1 or more, it's always appreciated, but never mandatory.
Absolutely.
So again, we love you all, and I just want to make some quick announcements that our one and only next guest will be coming up this Monday as I interview the drag king superstar himself, all the way from Portland, Crucifix Magnetic. He is going to get ready to spill all the tea.
All of it, honey.
Oh, yes. I hope you're ready for it and willing to see what's going to happen. So tune in to us this Monday. Again, I just want to thank my one and only guest, Miss Stephanie. You looked so beautiful and you did such a great job on this interview. Thank you again for participating in this fabulous event.
Thank you so much. And if I may, really quick, before we go, darling, I would just like to end this interview as if it was one of my shows. So if you have a drink, raise it high, raise it to the sky. Because, darling, here's to you. And here's to me. Sisters forever, we shall always be. Should one of us disagree, well, fuck that cunt, and here's to me.
Yes! I love it so much. Cheers to you, my love. And again, thank you for coming on Bitch Talk with Bitchcock. I hope that you all keep tuning in to all the amazing episodes that we are going to provide for you during these hard times. Some of the amazing guests that we have coming up, such as Angel Phoenix, Monique LaFay, and even Portland's mega superstar herself, Bolivia Carmichael.
Wait, hold on. Did you say Monique motherfucking LaFay?
Yeah, bitch, I got some big names for this show.
Bitch. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to tune in with. Oh, yes, ma'am.
So again, thank you all for tuning in for Bitch Talk with Bitchcock. We both love you so much, and we can't wait to see you next time.